So it's been a while since where is he? Ooh, I can't do it that way. Since we caught up with Fatty there, the Asian water monitor. Now he's captive farmed, which basically means he's either been caught from the wild, pregnant females or gravid females have been taken from the wild, or eggs have been taken from the wild. But basically, he's not from a long line of generational captive bred animals. That's not how it works. So farmed isn't really hand-tamed captive bred animals at all. So you get a wild animal in its head, like most baby reptiles, you get all that fear in its head. Everything, if you're a baby reptile, just about everything wants to eat you. So you're hardwired to run or fight, whichever is easiest. Get away, but if you're cornered, fight and bite or whatever. Baby snakes will musk on you, they'll nip you. When I work with my hatchling snakes, I've bred a lot of snakes over the years, I never say to people, oh, handle it lots, and then when it's bigger, it'll be tame. That's utter rubbish. Seriously, you can do that, that's fine. Or you can not handle your baby snake hardly at all. And when it's a reasonably sized juvenile, it naturally starts to lose a lot of that fear that it had as a tiny noodle. And you can handle it then. You don't lose anything. You don't think, oh, I wish I'd have handled it sooner. You could argue that you'll get used to being bitten by a baby shoelace is easier than being nipped by a medium-sized corn snake or something. But the animal naturally calms down as it gets bigger and is more able to defend itself in the wild, I guess, so it doesn't feel as threatened. Monitor lizards that haven't been hand-reared and handled lots as captive bred animals, those that haven't been handled and sort of hand-reared, they're not hand-reared, they don't need milk or anything, do they? But you can handle a captive bred animal from generations of captive bred animals, bred from calm and animals with a nice personality. So some of that will transfer genetically to their young, and then you handle them as they hatch and maul them. And they're super silly tame, like a hand-reared parrot compared to a wild-caught parrot, I guess. This guy was quite typical of a farmed monitor. Very nervous, very scared, and if you grabbed him, he wasn't too inclined to bite, but he would, and some of them will bite savagely. And a baby monitor on your finger bites and damages you way more than you'd ever imagine. Razor sharp teeth, an insane bite. When its head's as big as my thumb, you can't believe it until you've been bitten. You certainly don't want to be bitten by a juvenile or an adult water monitor. So where have we got? Well, we did the usual thing. We kept him in a relatively small enclosure with hidey holes, a bit like that log, with big holes cut out. So even when he's hiding and feeling secure, he can kind of see you. It helps them get used to it. If they can just disappear into a box, they'll never look at you. They'll see some movement in the room, they'll dive in there, and they'll come out when it's all safe. They're not really getting acclimatized to you. So big holes cut into their hides, as sort of counterintuitive as it may sound to some people. When I work with birds of prey, my eagles and things like that, now they're all in the UK captive bred. We cannot take them from the wild. But most of those birds, we want them to be as wild as possible when we begin training. And that might seem really strange, but there's a really good reasons for that. So, you know, your eagle, your hawk, you're going to leave it with the parents in its aviary, often in enclosed aviaries where they never see humans. They never see humans bringing food to their parents. There's no association with humans. And then what happens is, at the age the parents would want rid of them in the wild, they're fully fledged, they're ready to go hunting and survive on their own. They're going to get kicked out. We take them up for training. And I would say they're pretty terrified in that first day or two. Massive, great monster, getting hold of them. Why? Only one reason that would happen. Bigger animal gets hold of a smaller animal is to eat it. They have no concept of anything else. But those birds of prey, they're not as clever as ravens and parrots. But they work it out real quick that everything around us is positive. Basically, if we're coming near, they're going to get free food, as simple as that, to a degree. And they realise that our approach is a good thing, not a bad thing. We never hurt them or harm them or try and eat them. They work it out, and within a couple of weeks, that bird that was wild in its head will fly free and come back to you. No problem at all. Asian water monitors are an intelligent thing as reptiles go. They are intelligent for reptiles. They have a high metabolism, great brain power. That long tongue really senses the world around them. And unlike most snakes, they've got pretty good eyesight. They're pretty visual things as well. And they're quite capable of learning, probably way more than most of us need. You've seen people ball train them and target train them and that kind of thing. This guy, when I put food in, I've always called his name. Unfortunately, his name's Fatty. I'll go, Fatty, Fatty, come on. He'll be in his hide. He's got a lower hide in here. He'll rush out. And you think, well, it's because of the food. It's not. The food's there, in the forceps, ready. He can't smell it. He can smell it, but he doesn't associate it. Fatty, Fatty, come on. Out he comes. Equally, I can work in here with my hands, cleaning him out. No calling his name. He usually just stays hidden. And yet with the food, he's out like lightning. So he works it out. And now this animal that is being quite scared, I can now stroke him and pet him. And I started doing that while he's eating. Because if he's got a big food item in his mouth, he can't bite me anyway. And he's preoccupied. So he's getting desensitized to my touch while he's really focusing on something else. So I'll stroke him, I'll run my hand down his body and his back. He totally ignores it. He's really getting quite tame. At the moment, the room he's in, he could still disappear if he comes right out and suddenly panics and loses his head in the open. But I'd like to think soon he'll come out and walk around during feeding time, or other times maybe use food to lure him in and lure him out. So I'm going to show you a bit of his enclosure. But what this video is about is if you have gone down the route of a farmed water monitor, should you? Not really. If we're really brutally honest, captive bred is the way to go. In the country of where you live, even better. If you have gone down that route, people tell you to maul them to death when they're little. If that monitor's terrified, and it's biting and it's trying to get away, wriggling violently, and you drop it on the floor, oh my God, you've got to chase it and all of that. With an intelligent animal like this, unlike a snake, generally you're associating yourself with fear. And the same with our birds of prey. If they have a fearful encounter that does them no harm at all, just terrifies them, that can stay with them for life. Try and make your approach positive all around food. It's an animal that does better not to be mauled when it's little. If it's a wild caught farmed monitor, it actually does better to just interact with you in its own time and making all those interactions positive, whether you calmly go about maintenance while it stays in its hide, giving you the side eye and watching you, or you generate an interaction around food. Most predators respond well to a food reward. So don't dismay that you've got a shy, retiring monitor. If you've got a young one, put the enclosure way off the ground, chest height, waist height, higher than you, feels way more secure. That's why this is in a vertical enclosure, not a long enclosure. He loves climbing down, keeps him fit. He can look down on me. Feels way more secure up there. Make it all positive. As the animal grows and why wouldn't you feel confident? It's probably 4 foot long now. Why wouldn't you feel confident when you're a monitor that big? Way different to when your body length's that. They naturally get confident, make it positive, work safely, and you can end up with an interactive Asian water monitor when within the first few weeks you start to think, oh, I wish I'd definitely have brought a cuddly tame cuddly tame captive bred one. They can come around. More patience needed. Be patient. Think how it thinks if you can. Give it the space, give it the time, give it a positivity. It's turning around. So, top tips. A varied diet. He's had very few insects, even when he was small. He has a rodent and a day-old chick diet. He has a high premium dried kitten food. I've heard people poo-poo that. It's extra nutrients. He seems to like it. Gives him a snack. Now he's a sub-adult. He's a large juvenile. He's fed once a week. That way, 2 things happen. He doesn't get over fat. He doesn't associate every time this opens up with food coming in. And he's hungry enough to interact confidently with me because he's got a good appetite. When you see these things out in Southeast Asia roaming around, they are lean, wiry, fit, muscly. And most of them, I'm not talking in parks and things, look way underfed compared to our captive ones. We 100% overfeed our Asian water monitors in captivity. I think fair to say a lot of people for sure do. So He's got a gnarly mouth. He had that when he came, and a big scar on the other side of his face and his mouth when he came in as a baby. But he's all good. So, ultraviolet light, UV tube up there. Do they need them? Can you balance it with Nutribol or a vitamin D supplement and calcium and a varied diet like other animals? I'm going to say, when you see these in the wild basking, they'll bask on huge boulders bigger than your van or car that you cannot put your hand on. They are that hot. I'm not joking. It feels like they're going to scald your hand. These guys will climb all over them and bask in baking heat, in sunlight that just blows away anything you can reproduce in captivity. Do they need it? Who knows? Who knows? Do monitor lizards, Asian water monitors, need UV lighting? Don't tell me yes, blah, blah, because of the sun. Do they need it? Let me know. But he's got UV, he's got lighting, he's got a double heat source, because the heat he can bask on his back and the heat he can bask on his belly up there and on there, because obviously the slates heat up to about 130 degrees, I think, in the hot spots, maybe more actually. So he's got a height to climb. It definitely keeps him fit. It gives him layers of basking, different temperature gradients. And then down here, he's got a large hide underneath this and a deep substrate that we can moisten or dry out. Very rarely spray this guy. We don't have a super dry humidity. But let me talk about water, because I see so many videos on these guys and their baths are disgusting. And I think, I don't know whether I'll show that. I think that should have been cleaned. So this is clean yesterday, dirty today. If you feed them well, even if it's once a week, within about 2 days at least, at the most, they completely foul. But the good thing is they do it mostly in their water. So as long as you've got a good way of cleaning the water, they're actually clean things to maintain. They do nearly all of their poo in their water. So this works really well. I can set the depth on that. We've got a drain. It works really, really well. So we can just drain it off and fill it back up. Can you imagine, once your water monitor's big enough that it needs something, I don't know what that is, well over 2 foot diameter maybe, bucketing it out, cleaning it out, chipping it out, refreshing it. Yeah, you're kind of not going to do that every time he fouls it. You're going to maybe do it once a week when you get around to it. It's going to stink your place out and it's got nothing to drink, because would you drink that? And if it does drink that, that's an awful lot of warm bacteria-laden water. Do you want your animal to drink that? Because I wouldn't drink that. I don't see him drink that. And if he's forced to drink that, that's very poor animal husbandry. So you need something that you're coming in the morning, oh my God, he's swam around, he's done a massive poo, he's completely destroyed his water. You need a quick and easy way to clean it out. So that's what we've done here. So I'll show you that in a second. They're not for the lazy reptile keeper. They're for the reptile keeper that has a lot of space, a little bit of time, and that likes things to be done right. Of course, you could have a huge water feature and a really big external power filter capable. So bearing in mind, this is one lot of poo. This is one visit. This was cleaned yesterday. A really good external power filter. And then you're probably laughing. Huge enclosure, huge pond, mega filtration. But for most of us, a bath we can empty out easily. We'll just drain out. We use about a bucket of water to keep chipping in and rinsing, if that makes sense. You'll be able to get a couple of 3 buckets out this end. Absolutely rinse. Keep them nice and clean. And then we can fill up easily. My boy. If you look at him here, not even a crease down his side. Properly fat, good old feed, he's gorge fed. I think in the wildest torps they're going to spend a lot of time just snacking on an insect, a small lizard. A lot of energy put into small feeds. Now and again they'll hit the jackpot and they'll gorge feed on something. So he's getting gorge fed, but once a week. And that increases his activity. He's going to digest that. And then as the week goes on, he gets more and more active because he's obviously starting to get an appetite. And then he'll get fed again. It just means he's not laying around all the time being a fat bastard. Seems to be working out quite well. He wasn't fed he was fed probably every 3 days when he was a youngster. Smaller meals, sort of 3 times a week maybe, but now he's a big juvenile. He's being fed multiple small items, but a belly full once a week. You can just see that damage to his sort of top lip there. So here we are, back to being needing water change. But normally if we're in here and we're just doing our stuff, unfortunately Fatty's gone in. He knows that there's no food, but watch what happens when we call him up. I'll grab him some food. Fatty! 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 Fatty, come on! Fatty! Come on! Look at this. You're on the wrong bit. There's no going up there. That's what the lock's for. Yeah. So, don't go in there, don't go in there. Please don't put your food in there. You are disgusting. Like an absolute pig. So what we're doing, we're kind of getting him used to being petted and touched and around us when there's food around, but as in when he's not going to think about mistaking my fingers because his gob's full of food. Fatty, you're absolutely disgusting. So, pretty chilled out. I'll get him another one because he fits a small bits of food. And he's so different to an animal that was so scared as a young wild found one. You are such a pig. Another one. Oh, you've got the freezers. I'm just getting him used to desensitised while something good's happening. But also, of course, I just feel, one, he can't bite me if he wanted to, but Asian water monitors are clever things. A lot of the big monitors are. Got the tweezers, you've got the tweezers. And he's really not bothered. Very different animal. He's grown big. He doesn't need to be scared of stuff anymore. He can fight back. It's the same with snakes. They're all nervous when they're small because everything wants to eat them. I'm going to clean you out now. But when you're this formidable, that's quite a formidable animal now if something wants to attack it or try and eat it. Yes, king cobra's going to eat them. Yes, they're a threat from some birds of prey and probably their own kind. But the bigger you get, you can really fight back for sure. It's very different to being something with a 4 or 5 inch body length. Yeah. Last one. Anyway, a short video just to show you that nervous little monitor, you dropped it, can still be tamed or can still get less scared of you just by growing bigger, having a bit of association, not being on the floor where they're terrified. Get your enclosure high up when they're small. But have a look in the water bowl again. You saw it being cleaned out. 1 day in between and we're back to filthy again. 2 more days it's going to be filthy again. Then he's not going to get fed for a week and it'll stay pretty clean. It goes through their system real quick. Goodbye, Fatty. That'll do.